Hello, happy Friday. Welcome back to this channel. It's Friday. We made it, okay? Another week. And I know that this week was a little bit heavy for everyone, and there is a lot of mayhem and madness going on in the world. So before we start, I just want you to know that I feel it too, and I am sending you so much love and so many prayers, and just trying to as well process everything that's been going on and still really focus on, my peace, my joy, my happiness, as well as just recognizing that there are some things happening right now and a lot of evils around us trying to bring us down and dim our light, but light will always beat the dark. Okay? Don't ever be afraid to keep shining and truly, truly, truly seek your highest purpose. So with that being said, today we are getting into It Ends With Never. It ends with never. There's been a lot of court filings, and just to let you know, I haven't read them yet, but we are going to go in. So you're going to get like a live response, okay? Because I haven't read them. The only thing I know right now is that Taylor Swift is being deposed. How it's going to go, what all the letters say, anything like that, I don't know. So we're going to get into it right away. And then at the end of the video, I am going to read some of your comments from the week because it's Friday. So I want to acknowledge you and go over your comments. And yeah, we'll go from there. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Grab your emotional support lip gloss. Today I'm wearing e.l.f. Shimmer. It's so beautiful. I just love these e.l.f. shimmers. So let's go. You are in frame with Mandy Magnan. Before we dive into the court filings, I do just want to take a minute to acknowledge or let you know or share the news. I'm sure everyone knows by now that they did make an arrest and catch the boy who assassinated Charlie Kirk. They caught him within 33 hours. There's no winner here. He is 22 years old. It absolutely breaks my heart. He's a boy, a child, 22 years old, and he had the rest of his life. He was just starting. He had the rest of his life to forgive and release shame and find his joy and build a life. And 22 years old that they caught him, and his family turned him in through an investigation with his school and his friends and messages and all of that. There's no winner here. I mean, he took the life of an amazing, great man who was changing millions of people through his words and his scriptures. Although his ideals and his morals and his beliefs on certain stances don't agree with many people, his love for God really resonated with me, and that's really sad. Charlie Kirk lost his life. His family and friends will forever be changed by this. And the shooter, a 22-year-old, his family, his friends, his life will forever be changed by this as well. There's no winner. It's just a really, really, really tragic thing to think that there are such young people like this who are still choosing violence, who are still thinking that the only option is to pick up a gun. I think is... Man, it's just heartbreaking. As somebody who had a really tough past growing up and ran the streets and had drug addiction and alcohol addiction and really lost my way, I just want to say to anybody that is struggling, you can always turn your life around. There's always time. Every day that you wake up, there's time to change. And just choosing death and violence and a gun over healing, faith, and community, it just really breaks my heart that people think that the only option out is to do something like this. The only way to be seen and heard is to do something like this. And I just send all of my prayers and to all of the families involved and to Charlie Kirk's wife and 2 small children. Okay, so yeah, sorry about that, but when I feel something, I feel it, and I feel it with all of me, and the world is suffering right now, and something is broken, and people are broken, and it's just really scary times, okay? It could be very scary times, but I hope this is going to be a real turning point for humanity, not just Charlie Kirk, but of course, everything that's been happening in the world. When is enough enough, and when will we choose light and love as a whole group of people, right? But with that being said, let me open up these court filings, y'all, because I haven't seen them. I don't know what's going on, so we're going to look at it together. Let's see what's popping. Okay, so right here we have the court listener, so everyone can see what's been going on. So we left off in the courts on September. Let's get it together here, Mandy. We left off in the court in September 10th when the judge right here denied the motion. That was for a Wayfarer who were asking for a 1-week extension to get the rest of the signal communications from 4 custodians. I believe it was Steve Soritz, Melissa Nathan, and 2 other people who I can't think of right now. Sorry about that. But anyway, we went over that. So let's see what happened on September 11th. Okay, let's see what's going on here. So there is a letter motion for extension that is filed by Ezra Hudson. So that's for Steve Soritz, Jamie Heath, and Justin Baldoni, it seems like, from Blake Lively's camp. Then there is from Aline Garofalo. That is from the Wayfarer side. And this just looks like a letter motion, so we'll look at that. Then there's a letter motion for discovery addressed to Judge Lyman. That's also from the Wayfarer group. Then there is a letter response in opposition to Judge Lyman from Elaine Garofalo from the Wayfarer parties. Oh gosh, what's going on? Oh my God, busy day in the courts. Then there's a letter motion for discovery request. It's a reconsideration. That's from Jed Wallace, so he's entered the chat again. Then we have a letter motion to seal Exhibit A from Lively's reply, so Lively has made a reply. Then we have, what is going on here? Then we have a discovery schedule addressed to Judge J. Lyman. That's from Michael Gottlieb, Blake Lively. Then we have a letter reply from Michael Gottlieb as well, from Blake Lively. Then we have, what is going on here? Then we have a discovery document filed for Taylor Swift. And then finally we have from another letter motion for extension of time to join Lively's motion to take depositions of Soritz, Jamie Heath, and Justin Baldoni. So let's get into it, shall we? My gosh, there's going to be a lot to talk about today. Let's start with the first one. Let's see what's popping. It looks like they're all pretty short, or at least this first one's pretty short, so that's good for us. Let's get to it. So this is the letter filed from Ezra Hudson. This is the first one in there. This was on September 11th. So this says, in accordance with sections 1C, 1D, and 3A of your Honor's individual practices in civil cases and following meet and confer with counsel for all parties in this action, Plaintiff Blake Lively respectfully moves to modify the court's case management and scheduling orders. Again? The case plan to extend the current deposition deadline from September 30th to October 10th to afford Ms. Lively sufficient time to prepare for and take depositions of defendants Steve Soritz, Jamie Heath, and Justin Baldoni in light of recent voluminous and delayed productions of the Wayfarer defendants, of which Ms. Lively previously apprised the court. This is crazy. Right off the bat, I'm just going to say this is nutty, batty crazy because they just asked for a 1-week extension and Blake Lively opposed it. Every time the Wayfarer people asked for something, Blake Lively opposed it. The only reason why the case management already has been extended was because Blake Lively and Stephanie motherfucking Jones requested it. Blake Lively has asked for so many extensions now. She's asked for her deposition to be rescheduled 3 times. And now she's asking for another extension when literally had just opposed the Wayfarer's extension for 1 week. Of course, you knew the date for case discovery to get all of your fact discovery. You already knew that date was on September 8th. They gave you over 80,000 documents on September 8th. That was the deadline. And now she's saying, oh, it's too much. She wants to extend the depositions. This girl is so crazy. As detailed below, the proposed extension will not affect any other existing dates or deadlines, including for trial or the filing of the joint pretrial order. In accordance with Section 1D of Your Honor's Individual Practices in Civil Cases, Ms. Lively states the following. Under the current case plan as modified on July 15th, the deadline for the completion of depositions is September 30th. On July 3rd, Ms. Lively and the Jones parties previously moved to amend the case plan to extend the close of fact discovery by 6 weeks to run concurrently with expert discovery, which was partially opposed by the Wayfarer defendants. The court partially granted this request in an order dated on July 15th. On September 8th, the parties jointly moved to amend the case plan to extend the deadline for the completion of expert discovery by 30 days, which this court so ordered. Yeah, you've been asking for extensions. That's all you've done is ask for extensions. On September 10th, counsel for the Wayfarer parties met and conferred. On September 10th, counsel for the parties met and conferred regarding Ms. Lively's requested extension have reached an impasse. Counsel for plaintiffs and the Jones parties consented to the request. Counsel for the Wayfarer defendants refused to consent to this modest extension, instead insisting that they will only agree to an extension of the current deposition deadline if it is granted for 30 days for all discovery, including both party and third-party depositions. Counsel for Jed Wallace and Street Relations, Inc. have not stated a position. The parties' next scheduled appearance before the court is a post-discovery status conference scheduled for October 21st. Good cause exists for Ms. Lively's request for a modest extension. She has a modest extension, but when the Wayfarer do it, oh, it's for PR, it's for this, it's because they withheld evidence, it's this. But when she does it, there's reasons, you know? Request for a modest extension of the current deposition deadline. Then she's just saying that following repeated efforts to cure deficiencies in the Wayfarer defendants' productions, Ms. Lively filed an omnibus motion to compel on August 4th. On August 27th, the court granted in part Ms. Lively's motion. As part of the discovery order, the Wayfarer defendants were ordered to produce by September 2nd documents identified as categories 1 through 9 in the order, and all other discovery, including signal communications, by September 8th. On September 8th, the Wayfarer defendants produced more than 6,700 documents, or 80,000 pages, which required more than a day for Ms. Lively to process the review that has only begun in earnest today, 4 days later. Based on our initial review, the production only includes 62 signal messages, which are duplicate copies of the same communications from Tag, Nathan, and Able Productions, and thus appear to represent only a handful of likely signal communications. Also on September 8th, and without first conferring with undersigned counsel, the Wayfarer defendants moved for a 1-week extension to produce what would appear to be a substantial collections of signal communications from Melissa Nathan, Steve Soritz, Brian Freeman, and Summer Benson, which this court denied for failure to demonstrate good cause. As of this letter, the Wayfarer defendants have still not produced the signal communications ordered by the court. Instead, the Wayfarer defendants are openly defying this court's prior order and have brazenly insisted that they will not produce further signal communications until at least September 15th, the same day that defendant Soritz was scheduled to be deposed. It remains unclear whether that belated production will be complete. Accordingly, Ms. Lively informed the Wayfarer defendants on September 10th that the depositions of Mr. Soritz, Mr. Heath, and Mr. Baldoni, which have been scheduled after painstaking scheduling negotiations for September 15th, September 18th to 19th, and September 21st to 22nd for Baldoni, would need to be rescheduled to permit sufficient time to review the Wayfarer defendants' unauthorized and belated productions. But why can't you depose Jamie Heath and Justin Baldoni if you have all of the stuff? You're only waiting on certain signal communications you already said from Steve Soritz and Brian Freeman and Melissa Nathan. So Justin Baldoni and Jamie Heath should be good to go, baby girl. Hello? Make it make sense, guys. In light of the above, Ms. Lively respectfully submits that good cause exists for the deposition deadline to be extended briefly by 10 days to afford Ms. Lively sufficient time to prepare for and take depositions of defendants Soritz, Baldoni, and Heath. Ms. Lively also requests that this court instruct the Wayfarer defendants to make defendants Serretz, Baldoni, and Heath available for depositions during this modest extension. Unlike the third-day delay sought by the Wayfarer defendants, Ms. Lively's proposed extension will not otherwise impact any other deadline, including the expert schedule just ordered by this court or the trial date previously set by this court. To the extent that the Wayfarer defendants pursue, as is anticipated, their baseless demand to extend the entire discovery schedule by 30 days, Ms. Lively respectfully requests that it should be denied. A 30-day extension would necessarily impact the current deadlines under the case plan, including the expert discovery schedule, which was just amended, motions for summary judgment, and the current trial date. How does extending depositions to October 30th instead of September 30th, how does that mess up the trial date? The trial date is in March of 2026. That doesn't make any sense. That just seems like a really, really lame BS excuse. Put simply, the Wayfarer defendants are entirely responsible for the scheduling conflicts that the parties now face and should not be permitted to leverage these issues as a means to extend discovery for their benefit. It's hilarious that in the same letter that she's asking for an extension of depositions, she's saying the Wayfarer shouldn't be permitted any extensions for depositions. Am I crazy, or is that exactly what it says? This is literally asking for an extension for depositions, but she's saying not to give the Wayfarer any extension for deposition. What? What is going on? She's so crazy. These lawyers are nuts. Next, we have from Aline Garofalo, and this is from the Wayfarers Council. So this is a letter to the judge. What does this say? It's very short and sweet. On behalf of Wayfarer Studios, LLC, Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, Steve Soritz, and It Ends With Us Movie, LLC, Melissa Nathan, the Agency Group, LLC, and Jennifer Abel, collectively the Wayfarer parties, and Jed Wallace and Street Relations, Inc., we write pursuant to Attachment A to your Honor's individual rules to respectfully request that the court preliminarily seal Exhibit A to the Wayfarer's motion for a protective order. Oh, okay, a little protective order here. Exhibit A is an engagement agreement between Liner, Freeman, Tailman, Cooley, LLP, and the Wayfarer parties and the Wallace parties, which includes confidential information and was designated as confidential by Jennifer Abel. This is also from Elaine Garofalo, and it has to do with that email, that letter we just read for protective order. And it says, Defendant Wayfarer Studios, LLC, all of them the Wayfarer parties with Jed Wallace and Street Relations, respectfully move the court to enter protective order directing non-parties Brianna Butler-Coslow and Catherine Case not to produce certain documents the court previously ordered them to produce on its September 9th, 2025 order, on the grounds that those documents are protected from disclosure. What? Okay, on the grounds that those documents are protected from disclosure by the attorney-client privilege. When it issues its order, the court may not have been aware that the Wallace parties have been represented by counsel for the Wayfarer parties in this matter since December of 2024. Wow. So if you remember Judge Lyman, he denied, or I guess granted, the motion to compel Catherine Case as well as the other girl, Brianna Coslow, because her communications in them, they were trying to use attorney-client privilege, but because Jed Wallace was in those communications, he said that you've waived the attorney-client privilege. But now I guess the Wayfarer people are saying that, like, hey, he was being represented by us too, so maybe you didn't know that, but hello, that is attorney-client privilege. Defendants now request the court to modify its prior order or enter a protective order as described below. On September 9th, the court entered an order granting in part and denying in part Blake Lively's motion to compel Coslow and Case to produce documents withheld on privilege grounds. Yes, I just said that. Thank you so much. However, Mr. Wallace was jointly represented by Liner, Freeman, Tailman, and plus Cooley LLP, counsel for the Wayfarer parties, and thus disclosure of privileged communications to Wallace did not and could not have waived the attorney-client privilege. Jointly represented clients maintain a joint attorney-client privilege. A December 24th, 2024 engagement letter between LFTC, which is Brian Freeman's law firm, and Mr. Wallace and Street Relations, Inc., Bates stamped, Abel, and then the stamp, was produced to Miss Lively on September 8th. The letter, which is being concurrently filed as Exhibit A, clearly identifies Mr. Wallace and his company's street relations as clients at the firm and in connection with their dispute to Blake Lively and related parties. Although Wallace is jointly represented by separate counsel, he remains an LFTC client. The privileged communications that include Mr. Wallace but do not include Rosa Calatari are identified as these ones. Whoa. Okay. Then it says, where a party seeks a protective order on the grounds that the information sought is protected by the attorney-client privilege, that party has the burden of establishing the essential elements of the privilege. The engagement letter establishes that Mr. Wallace has been represented by Brian Freeman's law firm since December of 2024. Therefore, Mr. Wallace's inclusion in attorney-client communication does not, as the order indicates, destroy the attorney-client privilege. Based on the foregoing, the Wayfarer parties and the Wallace parties therefore respectfully request the court enter a protective order and or reconsider and modify its prior order to deny disclosure of the above listed documents. Defendants attempted to meet and confer with plaintiff, who indicated she opposes this motion. Babes, this is so crazy. Wow. Every time you think there's not going to be a new twist, there is. I wonder if Judge Lyman will change his order or reconsider his order. I mean, okay, Wayfarer held out on that. And it's funny that they said that they met and conferred with the Lively Council, who opposed this motion. Of course, because they oppose every single thing that the Wayfarer do, but then they're always asking for more and more and more and completely abusing the court dockets. Their game is dirty, but this is wild. I wonder what is in those communications so bad that they don't want her to see, but also she doesn't have the right to see them. If she's claiming this smear campaign in August, she wants all these communications all the way up until the present. Now, they're only allowed to do it now until February, but even that, like, are you trying to prove that after you lied about them in the New York Times, after you filed a frivolous CRD complaint, they're not allowed to talk shit about you? They're not allowed? You must be out of your mind. Okay, y'all, we're keeping it going. We're keeping it going here. So this is a letter in opposition. This was written from Aline Garofalo again. This is a letter in opposition, so let's see what is going on here. So, dear Judge Lyman, here we go. As counsel for the Wayfarer parties, we write in opposition to Blake Lively's motion to modify the court case management plan and scheduling orders. Ms. Lively has not shown good cause for her proposed modification. First, Ms. Lively has known about the recently produced and forthcoming documents for a month, long before she agreed to take the defendant's deposition beginning on September 15th. On August 4th, 2025, Ms. Lively moved to compel a further document production from the Wayfarer parties and sought several months' worth of additional communications. On August 11th, the Wayfarer parties opposed Ms. Lively's motion to compel, but indicated they would produce numerous additional documents. Following the briefing, the parties agreed to September 15th for Steve Saroritz's deposition, September 18th for Jamie Heath's deposition, and September 21st and 21st for Justin Baldoni's deposition. Can someone explain to me, please, why Jamie Heath and Justin Baldoni have to sit through 2 days of deposition when Blake Lively only did 8 hours one day and she refused to do anything else? Are they saying like either or? Because it doesn't say or the 21st and 22nd. Or I mean, it doesn't say the 21st or the 22nd. It says and. So it's crazy that they have to sit for 2 days of depositions. In other words, at the time the parties agreed on deposition dates, Ms. Lively knew that additional documents would be forthcoming prior to the depositions. Yes, she did. Second, Ms. Lively will have Mr. Soritz's responsive non-privileged signal messages by September 12th. Ms. Lively incorrectly claims the Wayfarer parties insisted they would not produce signal communications prior to the date of Mr. Soritz's deposition on September 15th. The Wayfarer party specifically told Ms. Lively that Mr. Soritz and Melissa Nathan's responsive, non-privileged signal messages would be produced by September 12th. You liar, liar, pants on fire, liar, liar, pants on fire. Okay? Because now we have bad blood. All right? Because now we got bad blood. She's lying straight to the courts. I mean, is anyone surprised at this point? Nah, because all she does is lie and lie and lie. Did they not think that the Wayfarer people were going to call them out? Like, especially if they have emails saying that they told them, like, hey, September 12th, you're going to get it. And, like, it's only Steve Sorit, so 3 days, you can't go through his signal messages with all of your 8 lawyers plus interns plus all this crap. Give me a break. Finally, Miss Lively's misleadingly implies the Wayfarer parties seek a blanket 30-day extension on the discovery cutoff date. In fact, the Wayfarer parties requested an agreement solely to take the deposition of Taylor Swift during the week of October 20th to 25, due to Miss Swift's pre-existing professional obligations. Whether the court agrees to the broader modifications sought by plaintiff, the Wayfarer parties respectfully request that the court modify the scheduling order for the sole purpose of accommodating third-party witness Taylor Swift, who has agreed to appear for deposition but is unable to do so before October 20th. Damn. Do you think Blake Lively was like sitting at home and all of a sudden she was like, oh, I forgot that you existed? OMG. I mean, oh God, I hope Taylor just does the right thing and speaks the truth. I mean, obviously I think she's going to, because there's been a huge rift, but hopefully that's not just, I don't know. I just don't put anything past Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds at this point. However, if the Wayfarer parties weren't absolutely 100% absolutely sure that Taylor Swift was going to have information for them in order to help them and they wanted to depose her, they wouldn't be fighting this hard. So she's ready to say something. Okay, that's wild. But it says here that she is ready. Unlike Blake Lively's witnesses, Isabella Ferrer, who wouldn't even take a friggin' subpoena, and everyone else is redacted. Taylor Swift has agreed for deposition, but is unable to do so. And unlike her little friend Blake Lively, who had her deposition rescheduled 3 times, Taylor Swift is in the house. And if I see one comment from Blake Lively's counsel talking about how that letter of opposition, that motion of opposition, was for PR, I'm gonna lose my mind, okay? Because not everything is for PR, okay? They're literally fighting. They're fighting for their lives, because look at all the stuff we went through last week that Blake Lively filed. Even on Monday, the way she destroyed Wayfarer and Scarlett Johansson's day. I mean, she's been crazy for PR. You don't think that redacted letter where she says there's another witness coming forward on a whole other project in a completely unrelated thing that she's not even allowed to use a witness to talk about people's past behavior, that wasn't for PR? I don't even want to hear them say one time that letter of opposition is for PR, because So this is from Jed Wallace. Okay, so let's see what little Jed has to do. Joel Glover is his attorney. He usually writes really great letters, so let's see what he has to say here. What is this regarding? This is a letter regarding the memorandum and order granting in part and denying in part Lively's motion to compel. So, okay, Jed, what you got, baby? Counsel of record for defendants Jed Wallace and Street Relations, right, regarding Plaint Lively's. Okay, take a breath. Plaintiff Blake Lively's motion to compel non-parties Brianna Butler Coslow and Catherine Case to produce documents withheld on privileged grounds, the court's memorandum and order granting in part and denying in part the motion, and the Wayfarer's letter motion for a protective order. I guess they're just going to echo the same thing that Brian Freeman has said for him. Well, I mean, I guess it was Elaine Garofalo, but he's just saying, though represented in this litigation solely by Jackson Walker LLP and the undersigned counsel of record, the Wallace defendants remain clients of Liner, Freeman, Tailman, and Cooley under the terms of an engagement letter entered December 24th. The Wallace defendants' representation by an attorney-client relationship with LFTC is not news to Lively. Indeed, Lively knew this at least by January 23rd, after she initiated a Rule 202 petition in Hays County, Texas, to obtain the pre-suit deposition of Mr. Wallace. In that effort, counsel for Ms. Lively represented in an email to Mr. Brian Freeman that she was informed by his office that he represents Jed Wallace. Lively confirmed her knowledge of LFTC's representation of the Wallace defendants on April 7th, when she filed her motion to dismiss the Wallace defendants' complaint against her in the Western District of Texas, attaching as exhibits the January 23rd, 2025 email correspondence with Mr. Freeman relating to Lively's Rule 202 petition, as well as the Wallace defendants and the Wayfarer party's January 2nd, 2025 complaint against the New York Times Company filed by LFTC in California Superior Court on behalf of the jointly represented clients in this matter. Yes, she did. I remember reading that she said that she only withdrew because Jed Wallace's counsel, Brian Freeman, told her to withdraw that lawsuit. No, you didn't, girl. That's not why you withdrew it. He was ready and willing to give you a deposition saying that there was no smear campaign. All they did was monitor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And you withdrew before that could happen. Before you can get the truth, you withdrew. Okay? Despite this undisputed and direct knowledge of the attorney-client relationship between the Wallace defendants and LFTC, Lively nevertheless persisted in an effort to improperly destroy a privilege held and importantly never waived by the Wallace defendants. Communications amongst and between the Wallace defendants, the Wayfarer parties, and LFTC are protected by the attorney-client privilege. The Wallace defendants have not and do not waive that privilege, but Miss Lively's quest for discovery from third parties unexpectedly became a vehicle for her to pursue privileged communications from the Wallace defendants. The Wallace defendants therefore asked the court to reconsider its prior order only to the extent it implicates the Wallace defendants' privileged communications and, if necessary, enter a protective order against the disclosure of those privileged communications. Well, Blake Lively said that her right to discovery and for the truth and for all of this stuff outweighs anybody else's rights. So... we have a letter here from Michael Gottlieb. Okay, Michael Gottlieb, attorneys for Blake Lively. What do they want now? Let's see here. This is a... what is it? What are we looking at? This is a motion to seal. So this should be easy breezy, beautiful cover girl. This should be easy. We write pursuant to Rule 4.b of Attachment A to this court's individual rules to respectfully request that the court seal certain portions of Exhibit A to Miss Lively's reply in response to Wayfarer Studios, LLC, Jamie Heath, Steve Swartz, It Ends With Us movie, LLC, blah, 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 to their opposition to Miss Lively's motion to modify the discovery schedule filed contemporaneously with herewith. This exhibit contains sensitive information regarding the location of certain upcoming depositions. In accordance with Rule 4.b, Ms. Lively respectfully requests that the court not rule on this letter to seal for 1 week. Anyway, let's see what she's talking about. Okay. Moving on up, moving on up. This is a motion to leave a file document. My gosh, let's see what this letter of opposition is. This should be a good one. And now, good thing it can only be 2 pages, or Blake Lively would have filed like over 100 pages to reply, because we all know how her filings go. But let's see what they have to say here to the opposition of opposing. And I'm telling you right now, if they say anything about Taylor Swift being some kind of PR stunt, I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's just so like obvious that that's where they're going to go. Like they obviously don't want Taylor Swift deposed. Like, of course not. Like that's crazy, but let's see. And I wonder when all the other people are being deposed, because the Wayfarer had a whole list of people and there are some people on there. Okay. Like Hugh Jackman. Yeah. Like Sean Levy, like all of the cast and crew from the movie. So those depositions are going to be quite interesting. But this one just says, Lively respectfully submits this reply in further support of her letter motion to modify the discovery schedule dated September 11th. In opposition to Miss Lively's motion, the Wayfarer defendants assert that they are entitled to an extension of the discovery schedule for the sole purpose of taking the deposition of third-party Taylor Swift. The Wayfarer defendants have repeatedly sought to bring Miss Swift into this litigation to fuel their relentless media strategy. It's just so obvious what they're going to do. It's literally the third sentence. Wait, one sentence, two. That's the third sentence. It's the third sentence where they say that this is just to fuel media. Get over it. At this point, they don't give a crap about headlines. You think they care? Brian Freeman hasn't been out in the press for months and months. The Wayfarer has made no statement. They just want this thing over with. They want to get their lives back. They want to prove that you are a monster. And your best friend, the godmother of your children, is willing and able and wants to sit at a deposition to bring light to all of your shadiness. And that's why you don't want her deposed. You absolute psycho. Enough with the media blitz. It's gross. You're the one that uses the media. You're the one that filed those letters saying there's another accuser and he's going to testify when you know dang well that he can't. You are the one. This is enough is enough is enough. I knew they were going to try to do this. I knew they were going to try to do this. Oh my gosh, it's just so gross. The Wayfarer defendants have repeatedly sought to bring Miss Swift into this litigation to fuel their relentless media strategy. In this latest effort, the Wayfarer defendants assert, though notably without evidence, that Miss Swift has supposedly agreed to sit for a deposition sometime between October 20th and 25th, some 3 weeks after the close of fact discovery in this matter. Yeah, it's 3 weeks after, but you're asking for a 2-week extension. So if you're asking for a 2-week extension, why can't they get 3 weeks? What's the difference 1 more week? You're saying 1 more week is going to mess up the trial date in March of 2026? Like, 1 + 1 is 2. Like, I'm just so confused. Like, what is your argument? It's just so ridiculous. Yet, even if one were to take the Wayfarer defendants' representation at face value, they have not come close to establishing good cause for their requested relief. Imagine Judge Lyman denies their request to depose Taylor Swift. The backlash? That is crazy. Of course you're going to extend 1 week for Miss Taylor Swift. Like, hello? Like, oh my gosh. This is crazy that this used to be Blake Lively's best friend. This is so crazy the way she's just able to turn on people like this. Like, I mean, Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, like, wow, they really, and I think they don't want her to get deposed because they know Blake, probably with those Twitter fingers, you know, texting her all the time, talking crap, maybe saying how much she likes Justin. Maybe saying how cute Justin is. Maybe saying how sexy he is in their late night rehearsals. Maybe something. Maybe talking about how maybe they're pathetic. Maybe they're weak. How she has to take over this movie. How she has to because they're not going to make it the way that she wants to make it. Let's see about your authorship now, girl. How you talk with your best friends, huh? Let's see. Because so far we've only got communications between the Wayfarer people. I can't wait to see yours. You're trying to call out the way Justin Baldoni, the only mean thing he ever said about you was that you're a person that always thinks that you're right. I can't wait to see your text messages, Blake. We continue. The Wayfarer defendants assert that Miss Swift is not available for deposition until October 20th, yet are silent about their efforts, if any, to schedule the deposition during the existing discovery period. That is likely because, as explained in the attached correspondence between the parties, the Wayfarer defendants do not appear to have contacted Miss Swift's counsel regarding a date or location about the deposition until earlier this week. So, y'all still haven't deposed Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, or Steve Soritz, the 3 people that you said repeatedly sexually harassed you. You still haven't scheduled their deposition. And because they only reached out to Taylor Swift this week, that's an issue for you? We can't be serious. They can't be serious. In this respect, the Wayfarer defendants' lack of diligence and disrespect for Miss Swift's privacy and schedule is outstanding. Everyone knows that she has a record coming out in the first week of October. Everyone knows that Taylor Swift is a real busy girl. Everyone knows that. What is the problem? Like, what? Discovery has been ongoing for more than 6 months, and Miss Swift is someone whose calendar should be presumed to be packed with professional obligations for a month in advance. Yeah. What? Are these people crazy? Let's just look at what they're saying here just real quick, guys, because this is nuts. They literally say, the Wayfarer defendants do not appear to have contacted Ms. Swift's counsel regarding a date or location about the deposition until early this week. Early this week would be around September 6th. They're saying that she wants to get deposed the week of October 30th or by October 30th. Then they say here that, first of all, they disrespect her privacy and schedule because everyone knows how busy she is. And it says here, presumed packed with professional obligations for months in advance. But they're giving her like 6 weeks. That's a month and a half. A month and a half for one day? I mean, that's pretty good considering you haven't done any depositions so far. I mean, I think Taylor Swift is able, with 6 to 7 weeks notice, give you 1 day for a deposition. At any point over the past 6 months, the Wayfarer defendants could have noticed the deposition, served a subpoena, and negotiated an agreeable time and place for this deposition, but they did not. Instead, the Wayfarer defendants previously noticed Ms. Swift's deposition in May 2025, accompanied by a barrage of press stories covering the same, only to withdraw that subpoena. Much fanfare. Now, without explanation, long after dates and locations for all other party and third-party witnesses have been negotiated and agreed to, and without ever serving a renewed notice of a subpoena, the Wayfarer defendants come to this court and demand the right to take this deposition, and this deposition alone, more than 3 weeks after the close of fact discovery and 10 days after the parties are due to exchange expert reports. Didn't we just start these motions and letters today with Blake Lively asking for a 2-week extension to depose the Wayfarer parties? So all they want is a 3-week extension, which is 1 week difference, and she's putting up this kind of fuss? Girl, get it together. Get it together, because you're not making any sense. You're just showing this whole case is weak. You're scared. You got nothing, because get it together, because we started this with you asking for an extension of time to depose the Wayfarer people and lying, saying that they're only going to produce documents on the 15th when they told you already they're going to produce them on the 12th. So you have days in advance to get your ducks in a row. This is what you're saying. This is so crazy. The Wayfarer defendants do not even attempt to explain their need for this deposition. You know, Blake Lively was the one that put Taylor Swift in for her witnesses and stuff. So she was the one that dragged Taylor Swift into this. So I just think it's so funny now that she knows that Taylor Swift is ready to tell the truth, that they're like, why do they even need her deposition? Who cares? I don't know, Blake, because maybe you said her name about 12 times during the whole PR tour and how she was with you every step of the way, about her whole music's in the freaking movie, how you said that she cast Isabella Ferrer because you listed her as someone to have knowledge about the events, because now they're told that you tried to blackmail her and tried to get her to delete text messages. Oh, why would her deposition even be important, they ask. This is the weakest argument I've ever seen. Such a showing would be expected for any deposition occurring after the close of discovery, especially for so long a third party, but is even more relevant for this third party, whom the Wayfarer defendants have consistently sought to use to generate a media spectacle in this matter. Nor do the Wayfarer defendants address the potential disruption to the case schedule, including the potential need to take additional discovery and depositions following this deposition. Why would you need that? You just said she's one person and you don't even know why she's important. So why would you have to do additional discovery and depositions after her one deposition if she's just one person and you don't think she's important? These lawyers can't be, they're jokes. This can't be serious. This cannot be. This is the weakest argument I've ever seen. Indeed, the need for potential follow-up discovery requests and depositions is why third-party depositions need to be pursued with diligence in a discovery schedule, and the Wayfarer defendants should not be rewarded for their inexplicable failure to do so. Again, the likely parties asked for an extension on depositions on parties in the case. And they're saying that they shouldn't get an extension 1 week for Taylor Swift is absolutely nuts. These people are off their rocker. Like, what do y'all think about this? Like, please drop your comments, because this is one crazy, crazy, crazy letter. It's so, like, misleading, but it's so hypocritical. Like, how can you be asking for an extension by 2 weeks to depose Justin Baldoni, Jamie Heath, and Steve Soritz, but now they're asking just for 1 week extra from that to depose Taylor Swift, and this is the message that you're sending? You have to be kidding me. And I don't want to ever hear them talk about PR ever again after the absolute disgustingness that they submitted into the court on Monday night about this other witness. Get out of here. Well, we got some answers, because the next one is from Venable. And if you don't remember Venable, Venable is Taylor Swift's lawyer. So Taylor Swift has entered the court of it ends with never. This is what her lawyers have to say. So they say, "Dear Judge Lyman, Venable LLP represents non-party Taylor Swift. I am writing in response to the letter from counsel for Wayfarer delivered to the court yesterday, docket 757. As counsel for the parties know, since the inception of this matter, we have consistently maintained that my client has no material role in this action. Further, my client did not agree to a deposition, but if she is forced into a deposition, we advised after first hearing about the deposition just 3 days ago that her schedule would accommodate the time required during the week of October 20th if the parties were able to work out their disputes. We take no role in those disputes." So she's like, yeah, I don't know why you want me there. I have nothing to do with this. I don't want to be there, but if you want me there, I'll be there, but it has to be after October 20th, and I'm not picking sides, of course. We have no role in any of these disputes. Very interesting, but she's ready to be deposed. I mean, this letter pretty much says 3 days ago we found out about the depositions, and if you're forcing us into a deposition, we'll be there anytime after October 20th. And this is the last but not least. This is the last one here, and this is from... it's from Stephanie motherfucking Jones. Anyway, last but not least, we have this from Stephanie Jones. Let's see what it says. Okay, it says, "To your honors, individual practices in civil cases, the Jones parties join Miss Lively's request for limited extension of the discovery schedule for the depositions of Mr. Soritz, Mr. Heath, and Mr. Baldoni." Wow. Surprise, surprise, Stephanie motherfucking Jones. Oh, you're agreeing with Blake Lively? Oh, you agree? Yeah, you really want, man. Shut up. Okay? Of course. You want to join Miss Lively. You want to run with the big dogs, the big girls. That's what this is all about, right? You really wanted to join Miss Lively when you gave over all of those text messages, okay? You really want to join Miss Lively when you took Jennifer Abel's private communications and gave them over through a fake and sham subpoena in a fake lawsuit through Van Zandt. Don't get me started with you, Stephanie motherfucking Jones. Of course you're joining Miss Lively. The Wayfarer parties have not yet completed their productions in the Jones action in response to the Jones parties' request for production issued beginning of March 6, 2025, despite multiple conferrals and repeated assurances by the Wayfarer parties to produce. Indeed, before each motion to compel deadline, the Wayfarer parties agreed to run specific search terms for specific custodians, agreed to search signal messages. As of the submissions of this letter, however, no such messages have been produced. Then in the footnote, it says, as noted in the Miss Lively's motion, counsel for the parties met and conferred regarding Miss Lively's requested extension on September 10th and reached an impasse, with the Wayfarer parties refusing to agree to the limited extension unless the date for the completion of depositions was extended by 30 days. Right. If you want an extension, we want an extension too. What's wrong with these people? Have they never played in the sandbox before? Like, hello? The Wayfarer parties agreed to provide these documents by August 27th. Their August 27th production, however, lacked any signal messages. In a conferral, counsel for the Wayfarer parties stated that they had not searched signal messages because they could not apply the parties' agreed terms on the platform, but refused to answer when they became aware they could not abide by the parties' agreement or whether they entered it knowing they could not do so. In addition, as with Miss Lively, the Jones parties are still digesting the Wayfarer parties' severely belated productions of over 80,000 pages. They weren't belated. They weren't sent to you late. They hit the deadline. The deadline was September 8th. They gave it to you on September 8th. When you have something due, like if you have a bill due on September 3rd and you pay it on September 3rd, you're not late. If you have a deadline, you meet the deadline. If you have a doctor's appointment at Monday on 2:30 and you get there Monday at 2:15, you're not late. If you go to your doctor's appointment for 2:30 at 2:28, you're not late. If you have a deadline of September 8th for production and you give everything on September 8th for production, you're not late. These people are crying because they got so many things on time of extensions that they asked for. Blake Lively and Stephanie Jones demanded these extensions. Okay. But they're still waiting for the Wayfarer party's production of signal messages in Lively. A limited extension is therefore necessary for the Jones parties to meaningfully review and utilize the belatedly produced and forthcoming productions in the Wayfarer party's upcoming depositions. In addition, the current schedule provides for depositions in the Lively and Jones matters to occur on the same or adjacent dates for efficiency and the convenience of the parties and witnesses. The Jones parties thus further request the limited extension set forth herein to maintain the presented concurrent deposition schedule and avoid the hassle, inconvenience, and inefficiency that would inevitably be created by non-adjacent deposition dates for these witnesses. Oh, like how the entire Wayfarer Council was in air flying from LA to New York and Blake Lively canceled her deposition? That wasn't inconvenient? Get out of here. You guys are just so wild. Okay, I lied. There's one more, and Michael Gottlieb is pissed off at Wayfarer and Wallace. This is probably the sassiest letter that I've heard him write so far. So this, I just read it very quickly. It's short, it's sweet, but he is very mad that they are now claiming attorney-client privilege. They did claim attorney-client privilege as well as work product doctrine when they asked for the motion to compel to be denied by Judge Lyman, but then Judge Lyman did view in chambers all of the communications on a privileged log and decided that because those privileges or those communications had Jed Wallace in them, that they waived the client privilege. So, I mean, they did claim attorney-client privilege. They just didn't fight it real hard. But Michael Gottlieb is pissed. This is the letter that just came in like moments ago. And this has to do with the protective order forbidding non-parties Catherine Case and Breonna Butler Coslow from producing certain documents pursuant to the court's September 9th order compelling their productions. Defendants, all of whom failed to file any opposition to the motions to compel Ms. Case and Ms. Coslow, respectively, to produce the disputed documents, much less a timely opposition, have long since waived any claim of privilege over those documents. It is inconceivable that defendants only now discover that they forgot to assert the privilege claim. That time to raise and defend any privilege claims relating to these documents was when Miss Lively moved to compel production of those documents, not 2 days after the court entered an order compelling production of those documents. After the court engaged in camera review, reviewing each communication at issue and ruling document by document as to the privilege and work product assertions. Having failed to oppose Miss Lively's motion to compel when they had a chance or weigh in any reasonable time in the process, defendants' collective motion for a protective order is at best a procedurally improper motion for reconsideration of the Case Coslow MTC order. As such, it must be denied. Consistent with their apparent worldview, consistent with their apparent worldview that Miss Lively is to blame for anything negative that happens to them, the Wallace defendants go so far as to fault Miss Lively for not raising their privilege claims for them. But the burden to assert and justify a claim of attorney-client privilege lies solely with the party claiming privilege. As much as they appear to believe otherwise, Miss Lively is not the defendant's keeper. Oh, I got jokes, okay. Miss Lively is not the defendant's keeper. Defendants' respective letter motions only underscore that they have had all the information necessary to raise their present claim of privilege for months. The fact that the defendants now wish to assert attorney-client privilege based on an attorney-client relationship among Liner Freeman and the Wallace defendants, something they could have done at the outset, plainly does not justify reconsideration of the court's order. Reconsideration is not a vehicle for reviving waived arguments or presenting previously available information to the court that could have been, but was not, raised the first time around. Although it was evidently known to them all along, none of the defendants raised this attorney-client relationship in opposition to Miss Lively's motion to compel, or even filed any opposition of their own. Miss Case and Miss Coslow, who did otherwise raise privilege claims relating to attorney-client relationship between Liner Freeman and certain defendants, did not raise this one, nor did the Wayfarer defendants even refer to these facts in their request for an extension to oppose the motion to compel. Moreover, neither of the motions for reconsideration set forth a substantive argument in favor of a privileged litigation in light of the court's order on these documents, which carefully consider the participants and purpose of each document individually. So he's pretty much saying, no. This is the first time we're hearing of it. Too bad, so sad. You gotta deal with it. But what he does put under here is kind of interesting, because I remember also that Wallace was saying that he wasn't being represented by Brian Freeman, but they found it. These lawyers found it. Perhaps most shockingly, in their attempt to again blame Miss Lively for the embarrassing consequences of their own lack of diligence. Dang. Wow, I feel like the Wallace lawyer and Michael Gottlieb are fighting. The Wallace defendants charge Miss Lively with the knowledge that Liner Freeman represented the Wallace defendants in connection with these issues in their short-lived California litigation against the New York Times. Damn, their short-lived litigation against the New York Times. He's just sucker punching them. But these 2 months after the date of the statement cited by the Wallace defendants in their present motion, the Wallace defendants themselves wrote the following in a filing in their Texas litigation. And then that's where it says, Lively correctly notes that Street and Wallace were 2 of the 8 plaintiffs in a California state court lawsuit against the New York Times, who were all represented by Brian Freeman. That case was not suited, and some of the plaintiffs, but not Street, Wallace, or Street, refiled against the New York Times in New York. Freeman did not represent Street, Wallace in the New York case against the New York Times and has never represented them in this case or when they were added to the New York litigation. I don't know what they're going to say about that, but yeah, anyway. It's getting sassy in there, guys. It's getting sassy. Okay, and that's it. That's everything that's happening in the courts. I don't know what's going to happen. Happy it's Friday afternoon, because what else can happen today? You know what I'm saying? One person saying one thing, one person saying something else. Now we have third party saying something. What's clear is Taylor Swift is aware of being deposed, and she's agreed to any date after October 20th. So let's see. I mean, now it's all up to the judge. Also, whether or not he's going to rule on making those ladies turn over their documents, because it's up to him. I mean, he's seen them, right? He reviewed what's in them in the chambers. So we'll see if he thinks that, I mean, it's really right now, a lot of things are up to the judge. So let's see what he comes back and says, guys. Bye. But without any further ado, let's go over some of your comments from the week. So right away, any super thanks or any super thanks that I get, I will definitely shout out in every single video. So if you're able to, like, super thanks there. It is my birthday this week. Anyway, Helen, thank you so much. I cried this morning when I opened my YouTube. This is the most beautiful gift that you could have gave me. Thank you so much. It's honestly much needed. My mom's coming to visit tomorrow, so I'm so excited. She's actually never come here alone, and like just her and I spent days together in the city. Oh, I'm so pumped, guys. So thank you so much. This is from Helen. It says, here's a wee birthday present for you, and congratulations on 4K. Keep crushing it, girl. You have no idea how much this means to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And then we also have another super thanks, and this is from @Sharzra D. Morgan, supporting your channel. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate it. It means totally like everything to me. So thank you so much. Then we have Crazy Mama 007. She wrote, this Stephanie motherfucking Jones recap. She definitely acted like a catalyst for this situation. Good news will be everyone will now see her evil tricks and personality. It's the Barbara Streisand effect. She has only drawn more and more attention to the website, and now her part in the Van Sham lawsuit. I would never use her nor work for her. Her hubby is a bigwig in WME, isn't he? Woo! Yes, Stephanie motherfucking Jones is definitely the catalyst for all of this. I will keep screaming Van Zandt from the rooftops until we get some answers, and she is the one that started this, her and Blake Lively. And I actually didn't know that Stephanie Jones's husband worked at WME, but yes, he did. I looked it up right after you commented this, so thank you so much, guys. I appreciate your comments every single time. His name is Jason Hodes, and like Hodes, and yeah, he is an executive at WME. Interesting. The same agency. They are that's interesting. We have the Upper Decker Taker 9991 wrote, the acting was well done in this film, and Mandy, you're a beauty. They were talking about this film I was in called Invited. It's now on Hulu. You can watch it. It is a little bit of a found footage horror movie, but it is really good, guys. So it is called Invited, and it is out on Hulu. Check it out. Elisa, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. Elisa Olaya 22, I'm gonna get you guys, said, but Mandy, she's a survivor. Oh wait, no, she's not. I'm still dumbfounded how she can pretend to relate to people who have actually experienced SH. If the courts used her example as a reference as being a survivor of SH, we all have a federal case. So ridiculous and offensive. I'm so happy for Wayfarer and Scarlett J. They deserve all the happiness. Love you, Mandy. Love you too. But yeah, I totally agree. Like, if they're going to use this case with Blake Lively to be the one for the 47.1, what? Then we all have a federal case, because as a woman, y'all know how it is walking them streets, okay? At Gameaholics, M8F said, Wayfarer is lucky to have you as a justice warrior and fan. Happy people like you are standing up for their beliefs and convictions. P.S. Rest in peace, Charlie Kirk as well. Even if we personally don't agree on all of his views, nobody, and I mean nobody, deserves to die for standing up for his convictions and sharing his beliefs. Thank you. I totally agree. I'm so happy that more people are standing up with light and love and standing up to evils and speaking their truth and really holding people accountable. It's kind of like a silver lining that I'm seeing with humanity. And I love Wayfarer and I love Justin Baldoni and all those guys. Like, I feel like we morally just align with each other, and they make the type of movies that I would love to be in. So yes, and rest in peace, Charlie, and everyone else. Their lives were sadly taken too early. At CityBright8925 says, Mandy, thank you for your superb, thorough, and relentless coverage of the important Van Zam sham lawsuit and sham subpoena. You're performing a valuable service, highlighting the truth, and I love that you are passionate about it. If only Judge Lyman could see this video, there might be some real justice in this case. I liked this comment because it's so true. Like, does Judge Lyman know everything? Is he aware of all of the case yet? Or because I know he only can read like what's in front of him. So I'm just like, have they presented all of the facts as to how this subpoena got served, what's in the subpoena and everything like that? Or is that going to come out a bit later? Because this whole case is bananas cuckoo. This is from Genevieve9. She wrote, we've all stopped hearing each other. We let the power that be divide us with silly social issues of the point of murder so that they can move around silently and unnoticed in the darkness. Yeah, I agree. I mean, the powers that be and the 1%ers, I mean, it worked, whatever they were doing. The clear divide now between poor and rich, the clear divide between black and white, the clear divide between red and blue, when really we're all brothers and sisters and human beings, just with different ideals and pasts and stories and morals. But we all have it in us to be good. And I think the powers that be only want to divide, so that then we're not united and looking at them as the enemy. At Litro29 said, did you see the story about Ryan bullying the Asian immigrant when they were at school? Threw him in a dumpster, pushed him dog poop, pushed him in bushes, stole his papers. They were on paper route together. Apparently he was a horrific bully to this kid, terrorized him so much that he was unable to watch him in anything because of the trauma. So this TikTok, I'm so sorry. I actually didn't watch the whole thing, but this was sent to me and I was tagged in it a bunch on TikTok, and it was a girl talking about how her friend was bullied by Ryan. I haven't been able to watch the whole video yet, but that is disgusting, and I can only hope that they heal from that, because childhood bullying is no joke and children actually take their lives over being bullied. This is from Crusian Fiber Geek. Crusian Fiber Geek said, talking about over-sexualized, what was Lady Pool? What dialogue did Ryan Reynolds make his daughter recite? Not to mention the basis for most of the jokes on all the Deadpool movies her husband does. I can't even with these people. Yeah, same. So this was about Blake Lively on a red carpet, talking about how she liked that she was working with female directors on this one movie, The Age of Adeline, because if it would have been male directors, it would have been done by the male gaze, and she would have been over-sexualized from her past experiences. And it's like, you and your husband over-sexualize everything. What are you talking about? And last but not least is from We Are Just Not That Into You, and it is Justice for Justin. And I wanted to end with this one because this is why we're all here. We are all here for justice for Justin and the Wayfarer parties. So let's not forget that along the way, that we are here for justice, and also just a remembrance, like a reminder of how Justin Baldoni would want us treating each other and going about it in this way. Okay, and that's everything for me. Happy Friday. I am so excited to see my mom tomorrow. It's my birthday next week. So I think on Monday, actually, we're going to be going to Niagara Falls. So I might not have an episode for you guys. But if anything happens in this case, best believe I will be here, okay? I'm also going to be making videos and vlogging and doing all of that stuff. So I won't be completely out of the dark, okay? But if I'm not here with a full episode kind of in this format, just know it's because I am with my mommy and enjoying my birthday. But I do want to say, if y'all haven't joined the membership section yet, please do. It's the lowest tier possible for a month. It's less than a Starbucks coffee per month. Like I keep saying it, it's so low. It's only $1.99 per month. And it's going to be a really cool space. Like I feel like it already is starting. It's a nice accountability group. It's really about inspiration, motivation, mindfulness, and really stepping into your true power. And yesterday's video I thought was very special. It's about becoming her first and mindset. So if you're into all of that kind of stuff and you really, really, really want to make a change and you want to become the person that you've always wanted to be, that's kind of what that is. We do goal setting, but then I also do really entertaining videos about like my life, dating disasters, like just so many crazy things are coming, and I'm very excited. So if you're ready to dive a little bit deeper into yourself and into the possibilities and the magic of this world, please join the channel and join the membership. You get exclusive content not seen anywhere else. Okay, I'm out of here. Please like, comment, and hype the video if you have that capability. It definitely helps me and it helps this community. So let's grow together. I hope you have the best day and you're able to take some time this weekend to love yourself a little bit more and reach out to the people who maybe you haven't talked to in a bit and love them and just keep shining, okay? I love you so much, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.